Hey everyone, I'm Scott Stokely, and this is going to be a complete summary of everything I worked on with my putting the last couple weeks. I ended up putting great in Jonesboro, putted pretty darn well at the Skins match. I was 100% Circle 1 at the Dynamic Discs Open first round yesterday. So putting woes are gone, but it took a lot of work. I took a couple weeks off to get here. I'm going to go through everything on this one video. All right, so first off, I was looking at changing putting forms. And I will be doing some putting on these videos. In fact, I'll go ahead and line up and putt a couple. So the forms I was looking at was my original putt, which is a putt with my front foot turned a little bit to the side. The reason it needs to be to the side, it needs to allow my front shoulder to rotate to the side. If my foot's forward and I try to end my putt this way, the knee's going to stop me. So the foot is turned a bit to the side. It is a spoosh putt where the disc comes down, the disc comes up, but I go ahead and give a little bit of pop at the end. I come down, I push my shoulder forward, the back leg comes up to counterbalance. So the putt basically looks something like this. That is my spoosh putt. I also worked on 3 different push putts. The first is a traditional push putt. Now remember, push putt, all it means is the shoulder is the only hinge on your arm being used. Elbow and wrist locked in place. So a traditional push putt, right foot forward, comfortable stance, shoulder's the only hinge, disc comes down, your middle, right below the eyes, disc is up. I also played with a left foot forward stance. Left foot forward, right foot back, but mechanically on the arm, it's the exact same putt. This is the only hinge. Right down to the middle, right back up. And I worked with a bowling putt stance. Very similar to the one I just did. The difference is, instead of coming down to your middle here, you're going to come past your body there. The idea is it gives you a little bit more arm swing. However, you need to lean to the side a little bit because you always got to putt from underneath your middle, the middle being your eyes. And this was this putt there. Now, all 3 of those push putts are valid. The second one you don't see as often, and the third one you see even less often. Do not be misled. All of those are equally valid putts because a push putt, it's like a horseshoe mechanics, at least as far as the arm goes. Shoulder hinge, wrist and elbow locked, disc up and down. The question is which one of those stances allows your body, this is very specific to you, to be in the right position. It doesn't matter if you're doing this or this. It is an identical putt. Just because this one's used more does not mean it is the only correct push putt. It is not. I played with those 3. Those 4 putts. So right off the bat, I'll give a spoiler. I was separating Circle 1 inside 33 feet and outside. The spoosh putt is the only putt that I could do from outside. The push putt, I just wasn't getting the distance consistently. So outside it's easy. It's circle, it's my spoosh putt. I was surprised though, because I've been a spoosh putter inside and I was putting poorly. And I'll explain why and how we solved it. But the 3 push putts, this one felt okay, traditional, but just wasn't going in. This one, left foot forward, wasn't getting the power. The bowling putt, the one I did 30 some odd years ago, was really good. Like I was putting this putt and the numbers were coming in very close to the spoosh putt. And I was almost immediately, the numbers, those 2 putts took off and the numbers were coming in close. And I went back and forth on those 2 putts. The reason why I made the choice that I'm going to stick with my spoosh putt on the short putts is because it's so windy. It's hard to be a push putter in the wind. There are no push putters in Kansas. That's the expression I use. Because I travel so much, I needed a putt that would work at all locations, and I didn't want to have one putt, and then when it's windy, switch putts. All the push putters on tour that do this, they have some variation of doing this. Or not all, but a lot of them. I didn't want to do that. So I decided to go with the spoosh putt. Now the problem I was having with the spoosh putt, I figured it out. It had to do with my arm being fatigued because I kept missing right. And the reason I was missing right is that I was following through at the basket, but instead of stopping my hand at the basket, I was pulling it to the right. Well, why would I pull it to the right? I've been putting my whole life, following through at the target. Well, number one, I had arm fatigue. And because I had arm fatigue, I realized that I was having to give it that little bit of extra oomph. I wasn't strong enough to just do this comfortably and get it there. And I was putting the Berg. Now, I love the Berg. I love the Berg as a putter. If you putt with the Berg and you like it, stick with the Berg. I have a unique situation, being out on tour, being older, dealing with fatigue of touring. I needed something that would glide more, that would take less effort. And that's when I switched to the Marvel. And the reason why I switched to the Marvel, because, well, number one, the numbers panned out. I was making more putts with the Marvel when I tracked it. But the reason why is I got to go back to do the putt that I basically could have done with the Berg, or I was doing with the Berg a year ago. I just wasn't able to do it now. I needed to do something that took a little bit less effort. That's what the Marvel did. I've said this and I'll say it just one more time. Every disc I tested is with a company I have a relationship with. So there was going to be a Tour Series disc with whatever I chose to putt with. So it's not like I coincidentally picked my Tour Series putter. Whatever putter I chose was going to be a Tour Series. It just happened the Marvel worked out. It's a beadless putter, good clean release, doesn't take any effort, it flies straight, it doesn't tail off at the end, means it's not missing left, but I don't have to give it that extra oomph inside the circle. That was the difference. So all I did, step up, boom. Now, the Marvel was not my choice for Circle 2 putting though. The reason why, I'm gonna switch hats like LeBron James deciding to switch teams. The reason why was I didn't want the extra glide on Circle 2 putts. That does not mean it's wrong to have glide on Circle 2 putts. When you're, oh my God, I was about to start rattling off pros' names. When you're Calvin Heimberg and Gannon Burr and Eagle McMahon, you don't mind sailing 30 feet past the basket because you're close to 100% from there. I'm a good putter, but I don't have quite the confidence of players like that for those longer putts. So when I do the Circle 2 putts, I wanted something that was going to be a little bit slower, that tailed off a little more, maybe a little bit less likely to make, but the trade-off is the comeback putts are shorter. So Circle 2 putting, I'm going with the Wizard. By the way, the Wizard is, I'm making an in the bag video today. It is available on Scott Stokely. It is available on scottstokely.com, my new Tour Series Wizard. This is the first video that I'm announcing this, but it has a bead on it. It's a little bit slower, and when I miss, it tails off a little bit more, but that means it doesn't travel as far past the target, shorter comeback putts, less street putts. So that was my trade-off. Now, I don't have quite the same stance when I'm Circle 2. I am not as sideways. I'm actually turning a little bit more forward. And the reason I'm more forward is I'm really trying to drive off that back foot to get the distance. So when I'm putting outside the circle and I need to give it a little bit more, I'm going to come back here and I'm really going to push off that back foot. The Wizard flies great for that. And this is no surprise. I mean, the Wizard's been the gold standard of putters forever. I tested it along with the Marvel and 6 other discs. I gave them all a fair chance, and the Wizard, it went in more. And I had a large enough sample size to know that the Wizard was going in more. And I also started noticing that it wasn't going as far past on the misses, which is even more strokes than just the fact that it went in more. So, well, I grabbed the exact right number of discs on complete accident. But I'm putting with the Marvel Circle 1 I'm putting with the Wizard Circle 2. A little bit different approach on the putting stance, but I stuck with my original putting stance. I was open to changing, but it turned out that I'm now putting really well. Even my Circle 2 stats are up. So I'm excited. You can buy these at scottstokely.net, and thank you all for following along. And I feel really good about my putting for the rest of the year. Thanks, everyone.